Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
The drivers of the Apex this Mazda Sunday series have spent what it is 5 weeks now on the continent of North America. They're almost finished. They can see Bathurst. They can see the peaks of Mount Panorama in the distance, but they've got to get through Laguna Seca here tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, my name, Mac Nelson. With me, big boss man Rob Campbell. Come on, he's the best in the biz. We've got 36 Mazda MX-5s here. They are going to go to war, 2 separate classes, the Pro class and then the AM class. You guys are familiar. If you tuned in last Sunday, we were at VIR. It was one heck of a show. And Rob, what do you think we can expect here from these drivers out of Laguna Seca?
I think more of the same here, Mac. Maybe not so much drafting, as Laguna Seca not necessarily a traditional draft track as what we saw last week at VIR, but I think with 36, I think was our last count of cars in the session on track. Laguna Seca is going to be tight confines. It's not the biggest track in the world, so interesting to see how our drivers manage to find some space out there to do a little bit of racing.
Yes, speaking of that, we'll pull up the track map here, give you guys a little bit of info on the track. We are at the Great Laguna Seca. It is a very prestigious track, as you see that Mazda right there going through the corkscrew. You got turns 1 and 2, the Andretti hairpin, and then you get into the latter half of that first sector, moving on to the second sector. It's a series of right-handers until you get to the elevation change, turn number 5. You start to go up that hill, and then the kink left. Everyone knows that sausage curb on the inside of that kink is going to be vicious. Then you go through the Ray Hall straight into the corkscrew, and then the final sector, just a left and then a right, and then the final corner, a left, going back up the start straight. Drafting, like you said, Rob, isn't going to be too big of a deal, but that turn 1 and 2 going to be vicious.
Yeah, it's going to be absolutely tricky, especially it's a bit of a blind crest. You come over that hill and you don't necessarily know what's going to be awaiting for you at the bottom of the hill into the Andretti hairpin, Max. So it'll be interesting to see the first lap as all of our drivers rush down into turn, what was it? I think they call it turn 3, the Andretti hairpin, or turn 2. I can't remember off the top of my head, but either way, it's going to be a ton of fun here tonight. As you mentioned, the drivers working their way towards the season-ending race coming up in only a couple weeks, so not much time for our drivers to jockey around for points positions.
Yeah, it is the time now where you have to lock in. Like I said, they've got Bathurst coming up next week, and then they end it at what I believe is going to be Road America. Yes, it is. So a lot of America here in this season. That, you know, it's typical. You know, you see the Mazda American Series, they do their thing, as we see Kelly Greeno there in P5, Daniel Salmon in P17. Kent Kruger, one of the cleanest but yet minimalistic cars I've seen so far on the grid there. Kent Kruger, Big Dog Racing, Denton, Texas driver.
Yeah, Kent, one of the
That
well,
Mazda sounds clean.
I should say one of the Kent is the chief admin of the league, so definitely the guy you don't want to get involved with an on-track incident here tonight, Mac. But he's been rocking a different paint scheme the last couple weeks. Usually we're used to see him in a brightly colored fluorescent green and yellow, almost a Minecraft-esque type paint scheme, but he's been sporting this new Big Dog Racing paint the last couple of weeks. It kind of throws me off seeing him on track. I'm just used to seeing that brightly colored fluorescent-esque machine on track for our chief admin, Kent Kruger.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the helmet not really going to match the new scheme. I can tell he definitely made that helmet for the old scheme, so he'll have to get that to the design team at over there at Big Dog Racing. They might be able to get him a little like puppy mask on the helmet. I think that would be cool. Joshua Soto there in the 07. He is someone else who very, very good on those, you know, late race runs where the draft might be, you know, a bigger problem than it is towards the beginning of the race. Joshua Soto last week at VIR seemed to always be in a very opportunistic position to overtake, whether it be, you know, inside of the corners or on the straight. So somewhere like Laguna Seca, where there's a lot of what I like to call sleeper positions for overtakes. The left-hander right before you get to the kink, the elevation change, I think that's a fantastic spot to overtake. Also, turn number 3, the high-speed right-hander right out of the Andretti hairpin. I think that, once again, a very good underrated spot. As we take a look at Tony Wallace there in the number 78, cammed up here tonight. If you're in the league, you want yourself cammed up, join the room. Provided at the beginning of the season, I'm sure, by big boss man Rob Campbell. He never leaves any stone unturned. That's why he's one of the best in the business, folks. And Tony Wallace, that Jacksonville driver, had a little bit string of unluckiness. Michael Tannegretta there also struck with the unlucky bug at VIR. I believe it was heat race number 1 that he kind of flew off the track there at the hill before the double right-hander where the oak tree used to be. He had a little bit of a moment there. I do remember that. So a lot of people trying to, you know, right the wrongs of last week.
I don't know what's going on here with Corey Mitchell's car out there on track, Mac, but it looks like it's a little bit of a one of those SPL sound competitions where you just see the hood and the trunk blowing open with the subs going in the back of the car. But Corey Mitchell might want to get that thing towed back to track or back to the pits and get those panels secured down a little bit there.
Yeah, I mean, that's hilarious, man. It reminds me of Ludacris at the beginning of Too Fast, Too Furious. You know, the guy opens the trunk, the Ludacris song starts playing, it's bumping. Yeah, funny stuff there. Joshua Soto gonna have a little bit of a moment here. Gonna keep it out of the tire fence. So good stuff there on Joshua Soto. That's the thing about these Mazda MX-5s. They don't have too much power. So if you do have a moment, if you do find yourself off the track, not going to be too big of an issue to get yourself stopped before the chaos, before the big expensive wall that breaks a race car. So Glenn Blanchard there in the 020.
Just enough power to get yourself in trouble on a track, I guess, Mac. Not enough to really cause a whole lot of damage, but enough to get you in trouble, we'll say, as far as the Mazdas go.
Yeah, they're fun cars to drive. There's a reason why they are the beginning car. You know, when you do get on the iRacing official service, one of the first cars you can drive is the Mazda MX-5 here in the Rookie Series. Amazingly fun series. They have an advanced series as well. That's how liked the car is. They have an advanced series in C class for if you want to race the Miata again. So it's one of the most versatile cars. It's one of the best cars to learn road racing in, and you know, it doesn't get really any better when it comes to league racing. They're always so competitive.
Yeah, I couldn't say it's any better myself. It's kind of interesting that they moved the advanced series from, instead of making it a D license, I think it's a C license, the advanced Mazda. So you pick it up in rookies, and then you got to wait another license before you can actually get into doing the extended Mazda races. But qualifying's finished up here, Mac. Why don't we take a look at how things are going to grid up here for the first 5 rows. We got Joshua Soto starting on pole with Michael Chase to his outside. Row 2, we're going to see Brian Lemke and Michael Brock in 3rd and 4th. Michael Brock back this week. I believe he was in chat watching last week. So P5 is going to go to Thomas Lathrop. Jim Flees, our championship leader in the pro category, coming in P6. Charles Wolf in 7th with Kurt Moss in 8th. That's going to make up row 4. And row 5, Jake Ratcliffe and Kelly Greenhoe round out the top 10. Who do we have in row 6, Mac?
Row number 6 is going to see Roman Bykov and Brian Zinn. Racer Nexus special there, Brian Zinn. P13 going to go to Gregorio Moreno Jr., with P14 being Tony Wallace. Row number 8 sees Corey Mitchell with Joseph Marr in that number 1 Motec Mazda. P17 going to Sean Gapinski. P18, John Cooper. Row number 10 is going to be Oz Exilu and Keon Maduro.
Row 11, we're going to find Aaron Law and Kent Kruger, the chief admin, in 21st, 22nd. Row 12 is where Michael Tannegretta and Keegan Gare are going to start in 23rd and 24th position. 25th goes to Daniel Salmon, and Glenn Blanchard going to start to his outside in 26th place. 14th row is where we find Sean Teeter in 27th and Harrison Neely in a P28th. P29 is going to go to Uwe Hale in 29th place with 30th. Justin back in the Bucky's machine to his outside.
Row number 16, David Sockrider and Aaron Sunday. Row number 17 sees Ryan Ryder with Juan Colmenero. Row number 18, P35, Eric Elkins. On the outside of him is going to be Patrick Wilson. And our final row, row number 19, David Messler and Austin Britton. Basically a full grid here tonight. I cannot wait. It's been a very long time since I've seen a full grid, 38 cars race here on Laguna Seca. I didn't even see that when IMSA was there last season. So I am very, very stoked to see how this all unfolds, Rob.
Yeah, it's gonna be tight, especially with the 2 different classes we have racing this evening, Mac. And while we're on our pace lap here, why don't we take a look at the points coming into this one with, as I mentioned, Jim Feliz leading the pro category, 306 points. Got a comfortable lead over Brian Lemke. Lemke comfortable so far as well over Josh Soto, but we should probably preface that for the first half of the season, Josh Soto was not bothering to qualify, just starting at the back of the pack and trying to work his way through. So last few weeks he's been qualifying, and we see him sitting on pole, so we know how fast he is. But comes into this one 3rd in points, and then Charles Wolf and Tony Wallace, the 2 MAV Motorsports teammates, have snuck into 4th and 5th place there in the pro category. Mac, how's it looking in the mid-pack Larry MPL side of things?
Yeah, so our mid-pack Larry's category is going to see Keegan Garrick, who had his championship lead taken back just a little bit last week at VIR. Justin Back is only 6 points back from the championship leader. Garrick in P3 going to be Aaron Sunday. He put together one heck of a night last Sunday at VIR. I'll be expecting him to do the same here. Sean Giroux in P4 with 191 and only 1 point back. P5 Ryan Ryder. So make sure you're watching out for those 5 guys when it comes to your mid-pack Larry's amateur division here in the Apex this Mazda Sunday series. Drivers are coming around the final corner. iRacing official pace car is off and away as they turn the corner. They're going to stack their Mazdas up. It's going to be one heck of a show. We are green flag racing here at Laguna Seca. Michael Chase, unfortunately, going to fall asleep just a tiny bit there in the front. Joshua Soto going to have all the advantage in the world coming down into turn number 1. Michael Chase is going to kind of close off the inside from Joshua Soto. They're 4 wide there, about 5 rows back. That's going to be chaos. A lot of cars having to slow down, pump the brakes. They're going to have to take another shot at it, and they're still going. They can't get going here at Laguna Seca out of the Andretti hairpin. It is going to be pure chaos. It's almost like Rolex 24. They're still turning each other 4 corners later.
I don't know what to say, Mac. We talked about it off the start with this many cars heading into turn 2 here at Laguna Seca. It could spell calamity, and we've seen that happen. But during all that, Brian Lemke's managed to get himself around Michael Chase and Joshua Soto up in the top spot as they head up the hill into the corkscrew for the first time. He's actually opened up a little bit of a gap here now. 6/10 separating he and those 2 cars trying to chase him down.
Yeah, turn 1 and 2 went very, very sour for Michael Chase and Joshua Soto. Brian Lemke saw an opportunity. He knew that if he can get those drivers behind him, that it's going to make his life up front so much easier, because now they have a whole entire horde that they have to fend off. All the while, Brian Lemke can just focus on being the guy out in front. As we get down to a single file, it happened very, very fast. I thought it might take a few laps, but I think everybody kind of saw the chaos that happened in the first 3 corners, Rob, and they said, hey, let's dial it back just a tiny bit.
Yeah, let's take a look at some of the chaos here up in the main screen. We got the leaders still going on the bottom, but we'll see if we can kind of decipher everybody that might have been involved in this. So it looks like we start off Chantier. Looks like Kelly Greenhoe was involved, Michael Tannegretta, Jake Ratcliffe. Let's take a look here and see what happened to Jake Ratcliffe. He was one of the MAP Motorsports drivers, right the meat and the sandwich, 4 wide into turn 3 there. Nowhere really to go. He gets spun off on track. I think him and Kelly Greenhoe might have another collision here getting back on. No, it was somebody else Kelly Greenhoe got tied up with, maybe Sockrider. Let's take a look here what happened to David Sockrider. He was a little farther back, started in 24th. So it shows you how far back this calamity went to turn 3 here.
Yeah, I mean, it affected almost everybody on the grid that wasn't in the top 10, essentially. It looked like it happened about 5 rows back, and every single car got affected, like I said, that was not in that top 10. So races could have very well been compromised because of that. We didn't really get to see the stuff, right here, but it looked like it might have all went good. No sudden injuries to any cars. And we are coming around the final corner. Once again, Brian Lemke completing lap number 2. He's still got Michael Chase and Joshua Soto behind him, running very good lap times, but it's going to be Michael Brock in the P4 421 Mazda who claims the fastest lap that time around, carrying a whole lot of speed there into the Andretti hairpin. Looked like maybe he was going to get on the back of Joshua Soto there, hopping on board, or I guess not really on board, but we're sitting on top of the Mazda MX-5 here of Michael Brock. He's going to be trying to chase down Joshua Soto. And Rob, it seems like his entry speed might be a little too high. It seems like the exit speed is where he's losing a lot of these guys.
Yeah, he might be coming in a little too hot, as you mentioned, scrubbing a little more speed off and not being able to maximize the pace out of the corner there back. But we should give a shout out to Michael Brock's wife, Perfect Jen, in chat. She's there every week, living and dying by Michael Brock's success or failures on track. And so far this season, it seems like he gets wrapped up in those turn 1 calamities more often than not. So it's good to see he's been able to make it through, that she doesn't have to threaten to put him on the couch again this week. But he's right in the thick of the battle up there right now. But let's go a little farther back here. Corey Mitchell, we saw his car doing, as you said, the
ludicrous,
dancing, the ludicrous dance in the end of qualifying there. He's able to get the car back into the pits, and now he's sitting in 11th place, our top AM driver. A comfortable 5 positions ahead of the second highest ranked AM driver right now, Daniel Salmon, in 16th place.
Yeah, and Daniel Salmon, I wasn't exactly sure who it is, but now that I see what his car actually looks like, that front end damage is going to be extreme, because during that opening lap stuff in the Andretti hairpin and what followed, he came in contact with another Mazda big time, hit big time on the front. You can see the front right fender of that Mazda not looking very good. The livery overall looking incredible, but unfortunately the damage to that front end is going to be killing his speed in the corners.
Yeah, and I'm having a look down timing and scoring now, and surprisingly, it looks like we've only lost maybe 3 cars, maybe 4 cars out of this one early on here, Max. So it's nice to see that. Looks like the majority of the field was able to get themselves back on track and back going again as we head back to that pack up ahead that looks like it's kind of all the way back to, looks like maybe Roman Bykov, the final car in this pack. So it looks like about the top 8 or 9 breaking away from the rest of the field. A lot of that to do with that calamity we saw on lap 1. But we got a challenge for the lead here with Lemke falling back into third now. Michael Chase has cycled himself back up into top spot.
Yeah, and I mean, these guys are just going to war. And a lot of those spots that I said, you know, were sleeper spots to overtake, I'm noticing these top guys are going for overtakes in those spots a lot. So I'm not sure if I'm late to something or if maybe I'm, you know, just a genius and discovered something. But yeah, these guys are not letting anything go. Look at how close they are. They are almost mimicking each other's speed. And when we get down to the latter half of this race and these cars are lighter and they can, you know, have a little more confidence sending the emptier car into the corners, that's when we're going to have some really, really close racing, as Brian Lemke getting very close already to the rear end of Michael Chase there.
Yeah, that's I guess that's kind of the nature of these 20-minute heat races, Mac, where you said that they're really throwing caution out the window, challenging for positions everywhere on track. You don't have a whole lot of time to really sit back and bide your time. You know, 20 minutes may seem like a fair amount of time when the green flag drops, but when you start quickly getting into lap 3 and 4 and you realize that a quarter of the race, half the race is gone, you really have to find that go pedal and start trying to make yourself to the sharp end of the field.
Yeah, and I think in a 20-minute session like this, I think it really compromises the early race. Because, you know, if you're doing an hour stint in an endurance race or you're doing an IMSA race here on the iRacing official service, they're 35 or 45 minutes long. You have a good 10, 15 minutes to kind of just settle in, find your tone, find your space, as we see Corey Mitchell there, unfortunately, in P18 EMGG representing there on the profile picture. That's a deep cut, man. That's old school. As we get a replay here, Corey Mitchell coming across the kink, and yeah, it's that sausage curb on the kink, Rob. It's always the little sausage. Pause.
Yeah, it's just so you know, Mac, that those pictures on the side of Corey's, I shouldn't say the pictures, the face on the side of Corey's car is actually Kent Kruger, our chief admin. So that's Flava Kent that Corey is stuck on the side of his car as we see him head into the pit road. So a little taunting here from our two admins of the league.
That's funny. That's funny. And it's funny you say that as we look at Tony Wallace there. I have had him in my ear just a little bit. I can kind of hear what's going on. He is getting a little frustrated with the 1Xs that he's getting, the off tracks. Of course, those penalty points adding up if there is some sort of an event to happen. So you want to try to stay away from those 1Xs. So I think that's why Tony Wallace is kind of dialing it back, maybe going 96, 97% instead of 100%, so he doesn't rack up those incident points.
Yeah, and I think they only allow, unless they change it for the season, but the last number of seasons, it's only been that running the heat race is on Tuesdays where we do GT4s. I think I think they have a little more incident points, but on the Sunday nights in the 2 heat races, they're only allowed 8 incident points, Mac, and at some tracks that can add up very quick. Or if you get a little tap from somebody and you happen to get one of those, 4Xs that iRacing is real generous to hand out for sometimes very minor contact, you get a couple of those in a race, next thing you know, you're having to serve a drive-through.
Yeah, so obviously incident points are not going to be good here. So these drivers, strategizing extra caution here as we see Jim Feliz getting very, very close to the back of Charles Wolf there in the 00. Charles Wolf obviously in the top 5 of his division. I think he sits in P4 in the pro division. So, I mean, all these guys very much in the championship running So this top 5, they are very, very close. And just, I mean, even right behind Jim Felice is going to be Michael Brock, Thomas Lathrop. So, yeah, Roman Bykov, unfortunately, is going to have the short end of the stick when it comes to this front pack, Rob, because he doesn't really have anybody pushing him. He doesn't have anybody keeping him in the mix. So he has got to make sure he stays strapped to the back of that 84.
Yeah, we've seen sometimes, Mac, where that works out to be an advantage. It may not seem like it's so much when you're at the back of that pack, but you just got to let the guys up ahead battle and argue throughout the race. You know, next thing you know, maybe something happens from them. A couple of them get shunted off track or have an incident. Next thing you know, you're picking up easy positions. We've seen drivers win from 4th or 5th place just due to some carnage on the last lap for the last couple of corners where the leaders all got wrapped up in something. So Roman, generally not a driver to sit around and wait, though. Usually tries to force the issue, so we'll see how long he's comfortable sitting back here at the end of this lead pack.
Yeah, and obviously we have 100% championship payout per class. So Daniel Salmon and Glenn Blanchard having a battle there for the leaders of that AM class. You see Daniel Salmon there has the advantage over Glenn Blanchard, but Glenn Blanchard, if I'm not mistaken, has a healthy car, and Daniel Salmon does not. Lap times are going to suggest that just a tiny bit. It's been a little on the downward curve. Advantage Glenn Blanchard. So Blanchard's starting to run a little faster than Daniel Salmon. He's starting to catch up, and with Salmon already being in front and him being, you know, the anchor car when it comes to the draft, I assume Glenn Blanchard's going to be looking at an overtake here very, very shortly.
Yeah, you're definitely right. I don't see any damage on the front end of Blanchard's car, and really saw him use the draft to his advantage heading up the hill through turn 1 and down in the Andretti corner. He's really closed in on the back of Salmon, but catching the car ahead of you is one thing, Mac. Trying to find a way around them is a completely different thing.
Yeah, I agree 100%, especially in these Mazdas. It's a lot harder to overtake around the outside, or the hard way around, I guess, as a lot of race car drivers say. Because when they don't have a lot of power, that means you're not really going to be able to maximize a run around the outside. There's, you know, everybody's keeping their momentum up more towards, you know, the 100% of throttle. So when you can't slow down as much, that means there's not as much of a run to be made. So it's going to be very hard here for the likes of Glenn Blanchard. But Daniel Salmon, with that hurt car, there could be a little bit to work for there.
Take a look here. Overtake by
A23
by Max Buddy Zinni, making the move on Kapinski into the corkscrew, but we'll give Zinn a little bit of TV time. That's not actually what I was trying to click on. I meant to click on this here. Gregorio Moreno Jr. went off track, and it looked like he towed to the pits, so he wasn't flagged as a crash, but I wonder what happened here. Hammers that inside turtle curve into the wall, and yeah, there we see exactly why he had to tow back to the pits. Unfortunate for him.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of momentum going into that tire fence or that catch fence, whatever you'd like to call it. And that's going to be an off track there for the 07 of Joshua Soto. So I'm not entirely sure how many incident points he has racked up, but like you said, if things are true and it's only 8, then I mean that's one less that Joshua Soto can get. So Brian Lemke might be able to start putting the pressure on if he notices that Soto's going off track a few more times.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, you know, sometimes I wish you could see the incident points that the other drivers have, and then you get incidents like this where if you knew, say that driver ahead of you that you were battling with only needed maybe 1 or 2 more incident points, you get a drive-through, you go up there and try and, you know, force them off track a little bit. So it's probably a good thing that iRacing doesn't necessarily make that available till after the race is over, how many incident points you had. But sometimes I think it'd be kind of nice to see from a broadcast point of view, whether you can see, you know, if that driver is getting close to having to serve a slowdown or a drive-through.
Yeah, or I have a fantastic idea, Rob. They can just redo the entire incident system because it's broken from the ground up anyway. Why am I getting a 1/2 of an advantage by cutting the circuit, and I got to give up 2 seconds? That is,
yeah,
you know, big problem. It's plaguing iRacing for sure.
Some of them are pretty gnarly. There's really no rhyme or reason for some of the slowdowns out there.
Yeah, it is very tough. We're looking at Michael Brock now. Well, actually, we're looking at Daniel Salmon now. Still going to be the leader of this amateur class. He's got Glenn Blanchard, who unfortunately is going to have a little bit of a moment coming out of the Andretti hairpin. He's going to have to get his car fired back up, ready to go. Tires are probably going to feel a little weird there for a couple corners. As you see down in the picture bottom right, Michael Brock currently sitting in 5th. Glenn Blanchard up top going for a move. This is for, or no, I take that back. This is not for the lead. That is Joseph Marr in front of Glenn Blanchard. So it's going to be about a 4.5 second gap when it comes to the leaders of the amateur class. Michael Brock down the inside. Or I apologize, that was Jim Feliz down on the inside of Michael Brock, heading down into the corkscrew there. A little bit of an ambitious move, so Jim Feliz backed out. That could have gotten pretty messy if both of them chose to commit to that. But Michael Brock in the 421, down 1 spot. He started this race P4, currently sits in P5. There's a lot of challengers there. They want that final top 5 spot. Going to be a little bit of a wrestling match between Thomas Lathrop and Roman Bykov there. In the final corner, Bykov's going to get the position as we cross the start-finish line. 3.5 minutes left, Rob. If you're Roman Bykov, what are you thinking when you have 3 minutes left in this race?
Well, I said it earlier, Roman just generally not a driver that holds back and waits for an opportunity, tries to make his own opportunities. So I suspect he's watching that battle between Brock and Fleas right now that we're looking at, probably licking his chops, looking for an opportunity to look on the inside, and there he does, right on the inside of Michael Brock. Now, unfortunately for Brock, that's going to compromise his exit. Now he has Thomas Lathrop looking to his outside, but Brock can have the inside line, but Bykov tried sticking the nose up in on Feliz too as well. Feliz was able to hold him off, so this isn't necessarily what Jim Feliz wants. Comes into this one leading the championship in the pro class. Doesn't necessarily want to get embroiled in these battles, Mac, and take the chance that something happens and he gets off track and ends up with a DNQ, or DNF, sorry.
Yeah, unfortunately, Jim Feliz has kind of been caged in this first heat race here tonight. He got sort of a bad start. He's up 1 spot. He started in P6. He could never really make a jab towards the front. He has our fastest lap here tonight, and it is by a very considerable margin to a 1:36.280. Fastest lap in the top 5 that's not his is 0.3 slower. So Jim Feliz very, very quick here tonight. I'll be interested to see how he does in heat race number 2 now that he knows he's really, really fast. But now we see Charles Wolf battling with, I believe that's Michael Chase, yeah, in the 371. Michael Chase gonna have the unfortunate outside line through Andretti hairpin. Gonna be a sausage curb tap though for Charles Wolf. It's going to be very, very close. Now they head into turn number 3. It's a series of right-handers here. Very, very close behind is Charles Wolf. This is exactly where you would like to be if you're Charles Wolf. 1.5 minutes left on the clock. The lead in P2 is probably gone, so you're going for that bronze step on the podium. And sitting here stalking Michael Chase is definitely the way to go about it. Although he is behind him, Rob, he is definitely in the driver's seat when it comes to these two.
Yeah, as they start to make their way back up the hill into the corkscrew, it looks like Chase has been able to hold off that charge from Wolf. Now Feliz right up in there. Feliz with the dive into the inside. Almost thought about sending it right up the inside of Charles Wolf into the corkscrew. That potentially could have taken out all 3 of those drivers. Feliz wisely backed out of it, allows Wolf and Chase to battle on, but they're going to pick up the white flag this time by.
Yeah, and unfortunately, gap between your 2 pro leaders, Soto and Lemke, going to be 2.5 seconds. So it's not going to be a very close battle there. Michael Chase, Charles Wolf, Jim Feliz, Roman Bykov, all in the running for the final step on this podium. We'll see the official flag man, Barney, wave that white flag, as I believe this is going to be the final lap. I'll be honest, I didn't actually see Barney wave it, but I have to assume because of the time. Into turns number 1 and 2, the Andretti hairpin. It's going to be advantage Chase in the 371. Charles Wolf trying to put his car in a position that would make Michael Chase think that just maybe he might send it. Trying to influence Michael Chase into making some sort of a mistake is Wolf, heading now into the right-hander. It's about to get uphill. It's about to get scary. Second half of the lap. Roman Bykov's going to hit it pretty much perfectly. That's going to be a very good run onto the kink. This is going to be insane if he chooses here to overtake. He's not going to. He's going to prep his car wide. He's going to miss the apex. That's going to be Michael Brock. Do not count him out. Now trying to pass Roman Bykov. It's going to be 1 by 2 by 3 as we see Michael Chase, yes, in the 371. He's going to have the advantage, leading them all down into the final sector. Joshua Soto coming through the penultimate corner, about to round out the final corner. All he's got to do is keep it on 4 wheels. Your winner of heat race number 1 is going to be the 07 of Joshua Soto. Brian Lemke is going to follow in closely behind him. And through all of the chaos, through all the carnage, Michael Chase is going to take that final step on the podium. Roman Bykov, in a last lap run, is going to take the final spot in the top 5.
Nice run by Bykov through the end. As I said, he doesn't wait around, so we saw the last couple laps. He really tried to force it through, but it looks like Daniel Salmon going to head to the line now. He's going to take top spot in mid-pack. Larry's Glenn Blanchard going to have to settle for second place, and then looks like Aaron Law going to come home in third place on the podium. Oh, looks like we got a wreck. Kenton Kruger narrowly avoids carnage in the final corner. Looks like Maduro and potentially Justin Back, but he got wrapped up in something in the final corner.
Yeah, it's going to be chaos. Black flags for Keon Maduro, black flag for Sean Teeter as well. That is a messed up Mazda. Sean Teeter, we're looking at the replay. Him and, oh, wow. That, I'm not entirely sure what happened there. I didn't really get to see the steering inputs, but they're going to come together at a point in the track that I thought would be the least likely for them to actually come together on.
Yeah, let's see what happened to Teeter to get his car looking that way. Oh, looks like Eric Elkins hooked up the inside of him into the corkscrew. You see Kent Kruger had to come to a complete stop, and then the finalists sit there, Teeter and Maduro. Let's take a look here from the blimp and see exactly what happened here into the final corner. So it looked like Maduro had it up in the inside. Looked like he was a little indecisive. Wasn't quite sure whether Teeter was going to stay to the outside there or cut back in. And then we got another little bit of a damaged car there. Patrick Wilson trying to nurse it back to the start-finish line. But that's going to wrap up heat number 1 here, Mac. Let's take a look at the results.
Yeah, taking a look at the results. Heat race number 1 is going to be Joshua Soto coming in P1. He led 6 laps of this contest. Brian Lemke going to be in P2. Michael Chase going to round out the podium. Jim Feliz in P4, Roman Bykov P5. Looking at our mid-pack Larry's, Daniel Salmon going to win it with Glenn Blanchard and Aaron Law filling out the podium. Eric Elkins and Harrison Mealy are going to round out your top 5. Austin Britton, hard charger, 22 positions.
Yeah, he definitely took advantage of that carnage we saw into turn 1, but we had a little bit of a warm-up here now, about 2 minutes, so we'll pop out for a quick commercial and we'll be right back.
Maska can't defend. He's got the outside line for the second part, and he can't hold on.
Going the long way around
3 wide for the lead as they all come to the line. Who is going to take it in the end?
And here comes Lockwood. He's going to make the move to the outside. Quinn tries to force him off a little bit, but there he goes. It's going to be side by side through turn 1.
Will he be able to cover him off? He does. Weaving back to the left-hand side. Reynolds is trying everything. The kitchen sink is being thrown at it.
They're leaning on each other. Coming into turn number 3. It's going to be a drag race through 3 and 4. Coming back to the line. Here comes Frisch on the bottom.
Bouchard's going to hold the inside. Tries to be the late breaker here. They're going to be side by side through the final chicane. They bang doors, but keep it clean.
MAZDA still 4 wide on the run down into the back straightaway. Demerit's looking for a line as well. What is going on in Michigan?
Novak into the fence. They're still beating and banging.
Oh,
and to the line.
He is much faster coming through there. Is there damage on Challenger? Abramitis is ahead. There's going to be a race to the line. Who is going to get it?
We are back, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you enjoyed your break. Got you a little bathroom break, maybe a little snack break. In the MMO world, we call that a bio. I have no idea why, but I've said it on my broadcast on the Racer Nexus a couple of times. I say bio break instead of a bathroom break. So if I ever say that again, just know that's what I mean. But the drivers are back. We're going to have heat race number 2 here live on the Racer Nexus broadcast network. Remember, guys, top 4 have inverted from where they finished in heat race number 1. Everybody else is going to start where they finished. We'll go through that starting grid here for heat race number 2. Row number 1 is going to be Jim Feliz and Michael Chase. Row number 2 sees Brian Lemke and your race number 1 winner, Joshua Soto. Row number 3, Roman Bykov with P6 being Charles Wolf. Row number 4, Michael Brock, Thomas Lathrop in P8. Finishing your top 10 will be Tony Wallace and John Cooper.
In row 6, Ozzy Sulu going to start in 11th with Joseph Marr in 12th position. 7th row is going to find Daniel Salmon, our winner in mid-pack Larry in heat number 1 with Sean Kapinski to his outside. Glenn Blanchard, 2nd place in NPL for race 1, going to start 15th with Jake Ratcliffe in 16th. Kurt Moss in 17th with Kelly Greeno. He was one of those drivers wrapped up in that carnage on lap 1 there in row 9. Row 10, Aaron Law in 19th, and Eric Elkins going to round out the top 20.
Row number 11 sees head admin, or one of the head admins, Kent Kruger, with Harrison Mealy as well. Row number 12 sees Justin Back and Michael Tenegretta, the MAV Motorsport driver. P25, Keegan Gehrig with Corey Mitchell on his outside. Row number 14, Pat Wilson with Keone Maduro in P28. Row number 15, we'll see David Sockrider and Ryan Ryder.
16th row, Sean Teeter in 31st, Aaron Sunday, the R-House No Drama car in P32. 33rd is going to find David Messler and Brian Zinn all the way back to 34th place. That's row 17. Row 18, Gregorio Moreno Jr. We saw him get wrapped up in a solo incident in race 1 in 35th. He'll have Uwe Hale in 36th to his outside. Juan Colmenero in 37th, and Austin Britton going to start in 38th. And then, looks like for some reason it just doesn't want to give us the rest of the field, but it's going to be, we got David Messler, Tony Wallace, Eric Elkins, Gregorio Moreno Jr., Juan Colmenero, Brian Zinn, Uwe Hale, and Austin Britton. Look like they're all going to start from the pits here tonight for race number 2, Mac.
Yeah, starting from the pits is going to be those 4 or 5 drivers, or 6 actually. Wow, yeah, there are a lot of people starting from the pit. You don't really see that a lot, especially when drivers are in a big grid. They trust the drivers, but there was a little bit of chaos there in lap 1, turn 1, so maybe they're just choosing to be safe rather than sorry. iRacing official pace car, that beautiful Porsche, going to pull things off. The drivers are going to get boxed up here in Laguna Seca. Heat race number 1 was a movie. Heat race number 2, I'm expecting to see the same things. We are green flag running here at Laguna Seca. And we've got 2 green cars that are starting us off picture in picture. You can see Corey Mitchell there in P22. But on the top here, primarily going to be our top guys in the pro class. Jim Felice, Michael Chase, battle of the green cars heading into the Andretti hairpin. Brian Lemke going to be right there, as well as Joshua Soto and Roman Bykov. Look at the number 013 of Bykov. He is not biding any time here, Rob. He is getting started early here in heat race number 2.
Roman got the nickname Coors Lightning, as he always used to run Coors Light paint jobs on his car. He's taken it off the last season or 2, and he's got a little bit inconspicuous where it's a little harder to pick him out on track. So maybe he's trying to use that as a little bit of a strategy here to try to sneak up on Joshua Soto. But he got around Soto for a couple corners, but Soto able to fight back and get himself back up into 5th place. Michael Brock down 1 spot into 6th. They've got a couple cars jockeying for position as the pack now heading up the hill into the corkscrew for the first time.
Yeah, and this first lap, not going to be as chaotic, but it's going to be way more racy here. The contact we had at the beginning of heat race number 1, it really led to us seeing single file racing. Everybody kind of calmed down as soon as that happened. Here in heat race number 2, we're 2 wide coming out of the corkscrew. It's going to be the 012 and the 88. Kelly Greenhoe and Keon Maduro trying to get themselves set up and going here in heat race number 2, our last race of the night. We're going to have you guys in and out of here in about an hour. So wheel-to-wheel action-packed racing all inside a 1-hour time slot. You can't really ask for anything better. Michael Tannegretta going to ask for maybe a little bit of extra grip coming down into turn number 1. His lap number 1 not going to be exactly what he wanted. Kent Kruger right in front of him. So these 2 guys, they battled last week at VIR, and I would assume, Rob, they probably battle a lot of the time.
Yeah, they're always going to seem to be hanging around the middle of the pack where a lot of the battles happen. As we take a look here, Kelly Greenhoe losing the back end through the Andretti corner somehow, some way, Mac. Nobody came through and cleared him out. I thought for sure once we saw him go sideways that someone was going to come through there and just going to broadside him. But we pick back up our AM leader now with Daniel Salmon up in the 10th place as Joshua Soto. Looks like he and Felice had a bit of an incident there, losing spots. Felice falling back. He's trying to get it regrouped. John Cooper up in this battle now as he snuck around Soto, got himself up in the 7th place. Yeah,
P11 is going to be where Jim Felice kind of fell to. Not exactly what you want to see. John Cooper in the 77 there, trying to make things happen. We'll go to a replay. It looks like these were the top 4 guys. And yeah, that's going to be a lot of contact made, and very, very lucky that I think that was Roman Bykov there. Whoever the 41, Brian Lemke, I apologize. Brian Lemke, he got out of there just barely unscathed.
Yeah, I think that was, as you mentioned, Lemke and Felice going door to door, heading up through the corkscrew. Let's take a look at it here again as they went door to door. Yeah, it's like they both tried to occupy the same bit of track at the same time. And thankfully, nobody went off into the wall, just positions and time lost on that one, Mac.
Yeah, and it's very, very scary when you take these Mazdas out, because if you do find yourself in a position where you are wrecking, yes, the power is low, but at the same time, you're also in a more fragile car too, as that's going to be a big pileup. We've got cars leaning on each other here in, I don't even know where we're at in reference to the track. This looks like maybe the infield, yes, right before the second right-hander, before the elevation change. Not entirely sure what happened there. Pat Wilson's going to get out of there just barely. As we look at David Messler here.
So he's coming around in behind where that wreck is. There we see the demolition derby that happened up ahead. So that was a couple drivers up ahead. And let's see, it looks like Kurt Moss might have been involved in this one. See if we can pick up, try and figure out what actually went down here. So Joseph Meyer at the inside of Kurt Moss. Oh, looks like Moss is just going to come over in front of Meyer, get turned around. And I'm not sure what the secondary incident was there between the 8 and the, not sure who that was. Who is the 8? That's Jake Radcliffe. Let's see if we can find out exactly what potentially happened to him to get him involved in this wreck here.
Yeah, so it looked like the 8, it may be just a little bit of like a technical, maybe net code, because it looked like his car maybe got glued to him. Yeah, it just looked like the tire model kind of bugged out. I guess the front fender was read as 100% grippable because that car just gripped up and like it was on rails and just started zooming up there. We'll take another look here as, yeah, I mean, that's just, that is crazy. So those 4, and it's crazy, those 2 incidents not even really related. They just happened to, you know, happen at the same time, at the same point on the track. So we're looking at Thomas Lathrop here, currently in P3, started this race in P8, so he's up 5 spots. Going to be a big charger when it comes to this top 10, but if I'm not mistaken, I believe our biggest charger of the race is going to be Keon Maduro of the MPL class. He is up 15 spots. He started this race P28, currently sitting in P13. He's got some rear damage there on that Mazda, but front end looks good, so maybe he can keep his pace up, Rob.
Yeah, he's just ahead of Corey Mitchell. You see them working through the corkscrew. Very similar painted cars, these 2 cars. It's kind of hard to tell the 2 of them apart, just looking at them from a distance there. They both have the dark colored, very mixed paint schemes, but Flava Kent, the Corey Mitchell car, currently sitting in 14th place, up 12 spots. As you mentioned, Maduro up 15 spots. Ryan Ryder just behind them, up 15 spots too as well. So a lot of our mid-pack Larry leaders right now are 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place drivers in mid-pack Larry class. Mac, 15th place gain for 2 of them, and 12th place is gained for Corey Mitchell. So nice run for those 3 drivers.
Yeah, and unfortunately, when something like that happens, it's got to mean something bad has happened on the opposite end. So Joseph Marr, pro driver, down 18 spots. It's going to be contact in the Andretti hairpin. That's going to be the 88 of Keon Maduro. I'm not sure what Mazda. I believe that might be the 200 of Michael Tanagretta. Yes, the MAV Motorsport driver. So he is going to tow that thing back to the pits. So just a few minutes left until we cross the halfway point of heat race number 2. We'll take a replay, see exactly what happened here. The Mario car going to get into the pink MAV 200 of Tanagretta. And then Keon Maduro, unfortunately, is just going to kind of try to drive through it. Not really going to work out for him. Whoa, and that's going to be a big hit for Ryan Ryder on that sausage curve coming through the kink as things are starting to happen. The race is becoming unhinged. There's stuff happening everywhere on the track.
Yeah, it's hard to keep up with. We got so many cars on track, although we've lost a number. We're down to only 27 cars now from the 38 we started with, Mac, just to kind of give us, or the viewers, an idea of what kind of attrition we've seen so far in this race. So we managed to avoid the big turn 3 pileup that we saw in race 1, but it's just kind of compounded here as the races went on. Say Ryan Ryder's got himself straightened back out, up into 3rd place now in AM class, up 17 positions so far in this race. So nice run for him.
Yeah, it's been a very, very good run. And going back to the incidents, it's very, very good that we've got an abled and, you know, nice, good boss man in the booth running the production, Rob. So shout out to you. But all those amazing views we have are courtesy of Track Cams. That's Track Cams for Gourmet, trackcams22.com. They provide all the car and track cameras you see here on the Racer Nexus broadcast network and all the cameras that you will see tonight. So make sure if you want some good camera setups, go hit them up. They are amazing. They are what give this broadcast that next level of immersion. Going to be a little bit of a bump draft there between the 59 of Jim Feliz and John Cooper in the 77. Not entirely sure what happened there, but I mean, all the way up the hill, he was just fishtailing.
Let's see if we can dissect this one. Looks like a little bit of contact there, and then looks like Jim Feliz tried to save it, but just got into the world of tank slaps, and sometimes you can save them, sometimes it's unfortunate where you just can't quite save it. Looks like he may have a little bit of suspension damage on that right front. Looks like it's really cambered in at the top, Mac, but thankfully for him, nobody came flying through there and broadside him, but he's going to fall back now into 15th place. So not a strong night here for our championship leader heading into this set of races.
Yeah, and he's going to have to get a new front left wheel, and I know if that was me, maybe I'd have to get a new steering wheel after I rage and, you know, throw it off of my setup for how many times I almost had that save. We got a pink MAV Motorsport car coming out of the pits as well. It's not really going to hurt Brian. That's going to be Tana Greta, same car that just wrecked on the previous lap. Not really going to hurt his run. Michael Brock now starting to carve up a little bit here. He currently sits in P6. He's back up one spot. I think he sat at P8 for some points of this race. So 9.5 minutes left and counting. The iRacing car there. That was the first time I got a good look at the actual iRacing logo. That was funny. And the Verstappen kicking the sim setup. That's very, very funny. As the 421 of Michael Brock trying to work his way on the 84 of Thomas Lathrop. And Thomas Lathrop doing a very good job of defending here. I don't really know how to state it. It goes unnoticed, I feel like, in a lot of, you know, leagues, a lot of sim series. Defensive drivers, when they finish, you know, you think of Thomas Ronhar in the F1 Esports series. Very, very fast driver, yes, but it's more importantly, when he gets in front of you, it's very, very hard to get back around him. And defensive driving, when you're up towards the front like this and you really need that good top 5 finish, being a defensive driver means the world. As we look at Corey Mitchell here on the replay. Oh, yeah, gonna get turned in there, came across the nose of that driver there just a little bit, maybe a little bit of a racing incident, but it's been chaos. It's arguably, Rob, been a little more chaotic than the first race.
Yeah, I think the patience level has dropped about 3 or 4 notches in this one, Mac, but that's by my count, that's 2 kills by the Mario car. I'm wondering if he thinks he's maybe battling King Coop out there or what, but unfortunate night for Sean Kapinski, been wrapped up in a couple of incidents. But we go back to a couple of the meme cars we pointed out last week, the Donkey Kong car and the Bucky's car. We got Justin back in the Bucky's car, a little bit of connection issue there for him. Blinks out quickly, he's back on track. It looks like maybe something happened between Patrick Wilson and David Messler a little farther back in the pack too as well as they come out of the pits. Not sure if they get tied up at the end of pit road here or what happens, but both of them were flagged for crashes. All this looks like they're going to stop, do the gentlemanly thing and let the rest of the field by and not get involved in any kind of incident with the leaders.
Yeah, and you know, I don't like to be a stickler, but that's, you know, really a big no-no on the track. But here in the iRacing official service, we got leagues, we got, you know, good, sensible people running it. There's no problem stopping at the end of the pit road. We've got a big mess of cars coming through the corkscrew. Wow, I cannot believe my mind just blanked there. Harrison Mealy, and I believe that's going to be...
It's Corey Mitchell
as well. Yes,
Gapinski,
yeah, in that 63. Yeah, 823 of Sean Gapinski. I mean, a lot of drivers there. Kelly Greeno there as well as Jim Feliz. They're going to be having a very big battle. They're going to be 4 AM drivers. The only problem is Jim Feliz is going to be the pro driver who's kind of drawn the short straw here. He's got to get past 4 AM drivers that are all racing for the top position. So it's not going to be easy whatsoever. A little bit of contact between the 59 and 63 there coming through the Andretti hairpin. Jim Feliz, unfortunately, getting kind of bullied off of his spot by these amateur drivers.
Yeah, nobody really giving any quarter here tonight, Mac, but we mentioned off the top, Laguna Seca, not exactly a wide track. Now, I know they bring the GT3 machines here for IMSA in real life. That's about as wide, as big a car, fast car I'd really want to drive around here. I know IndyCar comes here, and it's a real calamity. You can't battle all that much, so cars getting thrown off track. So we're seeing here that all these drivers really battling for every little bit of track space they can get. We've seen some drivers go off. We see a ton of Mazdas here with fender damage, hood damage, front bumper damage. Just kind of shows you how elbows out this second heat race has been.
Yeah, that I agree with, and we're about to see another instance of a corkscrew classic here. Jim Feliz and Corey Mitchell going to blows here at the corkscrew. Jim Feliz, unfortunately, really needs to get past these guys. Started first. He's currently in P13. Not exactly how he wanted his heat race number 2 to go. Corey Mitchell now, as Jim Feliz is going to start spinning a little bit. He is going to keep it, though. I cannot believe Jim Felice just caught that. He had his car slipped all the way over. Looked like he was going for a Fast and Furious kind of drift entry there. As they were fighting for the same real estate, it was Mitchell and Jim Felice, and dude, that is just incredible. I know Roman Bykov being there. I believe it was Roman Bykov. Or no, I'm sorry. I think it might have been Ryan Ryder or Harrison Mealy, one of the two. One of the cars there, it definitely helped Jim Felice there in catching that car, but still, I mean, incredible car control by Felice. That was one heck of a save.
Yeah, he was able to save that one. Wasn't so lucky on the first one with the contact with John Cooper that we saw end up into the corkscrew, but he was able to save that one. But Soto looking to the inside of Michael Chase, a little bit of contact there. Chase able to get it sorted up, but Michael Chase has been leading this one for the majority of the race here. Let's take a look. He's led 8 of our 9 laps we've completed so far, so he's had a handle on this one, but Soto starting to realize that the clock is down now to 4 minutes to go, trying to put some pressure on Michael Chase, trying to go back-to-back here tonight.
Yeah, and Michael Chase is, you know, a good defensive driver, but I feel like he is definitely stronger when he is the overtaking car, as is Joshua Soto. So neither one of these drivers necessarily wanting to be in front. So I guess by those standards, all 2 drivers would like to be in front if you're going with the opposite theory or whatever paradox they call that. Brian Lemke down quick into turns 1 and 2. Andretti Hairpin, that 41 Sky Lounge Mazda, doing a fantastic job. He's going to be the closest battler to these top 2 guys. 8 tenths behind lies Brian Lemke, or I'm sorry, lies Charles Wolf, I apologize. And then behind Charles Wolf, it's going to be another 2.5 seconds or thereabouts for Thomas Lathrop. Michael Brock, I mean, going to be right behind him. But for the most part, it's looking like it might just be Soto, Chase, and Lemke.
Yeah, those guys sitting in 3rd, 4th, and 5th right now would love to see Soto and Chase kind of battle it out a little bit more to let them back into that pack. It looks like Lemke now, he's in the draft, so he's going to close up on that pack. I'm not sure if he can bring Charles Wolf with them, but we might have a 4-car battle here as they're going to pick up the 2 to go this time by, Mac.
Yeah, Joshua Soto there in the 07, now out front. This is going to be his first lap led, unless Michael Chase can do something crazy here in the span of 1 corner. But Joshua Soto has been very consistent here tonight. Rarely have I seen him make, you know, a mistake. Granted, you know, there's been elbows out. They have had racing, so you throw all that aside. When it comes to just him hitting his marks, hitting his apexes, he has been very, very good, very, very consistent. So if Joshua Soto ends up walking away with this heat race number 2 victory, it's gonna say a lot about how he drives that Mazda, especially here at a technical and elevation-based track like Laguna Seca.
Yeah, he's definitely found a ton of pace. He's pulling away from Michael Chase now once he's got around him, which is, you know, rare to really see in Mazdas. We talked about the draft being strong in these cars, but so we'll see here if maybe Chase can cool off his tires a little bit here, reload. He's got the rest of this lap plus 1 more to try and get himself back up on the top step of the podium. He's led the majority of the laps here this evening, but looks like Brian Lemke going to have something to say about that now. Showing the nose to the inside. Chase not going to make a move into turn 6 here. Going to pull back, but letting him know he's there.
Yeah, we come up to the corkscrew for the penultimate time. Next lap going to be our last lap of racing here tonight at Laguna Seca. It's been one heck of a time. Michael Brock in P6. He just got passed by Thomas Lathrop, or maybe they were side by side, but I think Michael Brock was technically ahead there for just a second. Joshua Soto now starting to kind of check out a little bit. It's going to be a 9/10 of a second gap back to Michael Chase. Michael Chase not wanting to have this battle with Brian Lemke, but he has got no choice but to accept it. And in doing so, he sees Joshua Soto getting further and further in the distance. Barney waving the white flag. Brian Lemke looks to the outside, coming down into the Andretti hairpin for the final time. He's going to try to get a switchback on Michael Chase. Michael Chase going to plant his car perfectly on that apex. He's going to block that move. I believe the race win for Michael Chase is probably out of the question, barring Joshua Soto doesn't make any mistakes here as we get finished with our last lap here. We're on board Joshua Soto, where we were looking back at this battle between P2 and P3. Brian Lemke coming up the hill now. It's going to be one heck of a ride for the final half of this lap. 41 of Brian Lemke still chasing Michael Chase. It's ironic, Chase is being chased. As we see Michael Brock down in the bottom right, he is going to have a run on Thomas Lathrop into the corkscrew. It's not gonna work out for him, as he had the optimal line. He just carried a little bit too much momentum, but he is still there. They're still battling in the bottom right of your screen. In the primary view here, it looks like it's going to be a pretty standard 1, 2, and 3. Joshua Soto rounds the final corner. Hang on, Michael Chase getting a little wobbly, heading out of that penultimate corner. It's going to finish Soto, Chase, and Lemke. Wolf gonna bring it on P4. Thomas Lathrop bringing it on P5. Michael Brock in P6. Roman Bykov, unfortunately, still going to be at the back of that leader pack. Daniel Salmon going to take heat race number 2. Ryan Ryder bringing home bringing home P2 in heat number 2 for the MPL class. Corey Mitchell going to finish 3rd in that AM class, so another podium there. Keon Maduro, Harrison Mealy going to be your top 5. Jake Radcliffe coming out of the final corner. It doesn't get much worse for him here, as he has already had one heck of a heat race number 2. We'll go back and take a look. Ooh, that's going to be a lot of contact, Rob.
Yeah, that looks like some contact with, I believe that was Sean Teeter, potentially the red car on the inside there. Yeah, it looks like Sean Teeter just kind of came over, and actually looks like he was there, just kind of turned in. Looks like who was that? Ratcliffe just kind of drove a little deep into the corner, couldn't quite get it slowed up and turned around. So say just a racing incident area, kind of pushing at the end, trying to get that final position if possible. But that's going to make everything official for this one. Mac, let's go take a look at our results here for each class.
Yeah, so in that, this is the MPL class. It's going to be, this is Heat 1, I apologize.
There we go.
Okay, here we go. Feature results for the MPL is going to be Daniel Salmon, Ryan Ryder, and Corey Mitchell on your podium. Harrison Mealy, Sean Teeter, Keegan Garrick, Eric Elkins, Justin Back, Keon Maduro, Patrick Wilson going to be your top 10 for the mid-pack Larrys. In your pro finish, it's going to be Joshua Soto. He led only 3 laps, but it was the laps that got him the win. Michael Chase going to be just behind 57 hundredths. Brian Lemke in P3. Your top 10 going to look like Wolf, Lathrop, Brock, Cooper, Greenhoe, Feliz, and Gapinski. So big finishing for the pros as well.
Yeah, it was a heck of a race, Mac. We got a couple drivers in the booth, but I don't know if we could have expected that kind of action in heat number 2. I thought heat number 1 was about as action-packed as it could get, but the feature race said hold my beer and brought out a ton of action. We saw some overtakes, we saw some wrecks, we saw basically anything you could ask for in a race. We even saw Mazda showing us how Mazda MX-5s were made on track.
Yeah, the little, I don't even know how to say. I was gonna try to make a birds and the bees joke, but I couldn't think fast enough. My brain is not that big. But yeah, it's going to be a very long week of reflection for these drivers, and we'll bring some of the drivers into the booth, starting off with Daniel Salmon, going to be heat race winner here in your mid-pack Larry's division. Daniel, tell me, man, how was it out there? Daniel, this is Mac Nelson, Rob Campbell up in the booth. You got a copy?
Looks like we don't have him. We'll try and pick him up in a little bit. Let's try Joshua Soto, our winner in Pro Class.
Yeah, so Josh Soto, the 07 driver, winner in the Pro Class there. It was chaotic for a lot of it, Joshua. How did it feel to you? And did you have to get worried, or did you get out of your comfort zone at any point?
Oh yeah, all throughout the second race. Oh yeah, it was very challenging in the second race. A lot of things went wrong, but somehow we still managed to make it work. I actually picked up a penalty at the very end and had to slow down.
Oh, so that's what that was. I was wondering why you were so slow coming to the line. That was, yeah, that's crazy. The race finished very, very close because of that. But, you know, thinking about it, Laguna Seca is a fantastic precursor for where you guys go next week. It's going to be Bathurst at Mount Panorama Circuit. Another elevation-based track, another very narrow track. So Laguna Seca, in some ways, kind of like the American version of Mount Panorama. So do you think that this race here this week is going to prepare you well for the Bathurst race next week?
Oh yeah, for sure. Especially the elevation at the corkscrew. It's very similar to a lot of the turns on the downhill of Bathurst. Bathurst being one of the more challenging tracks, especially on this calendar. So. Yeah, it definitely should be some great racing there. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, well, before we let you get out of here and, you know, celebrate for your wins here tonight and, you know, prep for the Mount Panorama chaos that you have to go into next week, I want to get whoever you want. The floor is yours. Do you have anybody you would want to shout out or thank for the performance here tonight?
Yes, thank you. I'd like to thank my sponsor, Academy Sim Racing. And also I'd like to thank everybody that's involved in the Apex this iRacing League. You guys do a great job, all the broadcasters and the league admins. And yeah, I'd like to thank my friends and my family.
Well, we appreciate the kind words from you, as I'm sure all the staff team over at Apex this do as well. So we're going to let you get out of here and celebrate your Going Pro Class winner here tonight in the feature, Joshua Soto.
All right, thank you.
Okay, and I believe, Mac, we've got the mic fixed with Daniel Salmon, if you want to bring him in to have a chat.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Daniel, Mac, and Rob up here in the booth. You got a copy now?
Yeah, I got the copy. I had the wrong mic selected. Didn't even realize. My bad.
No, you are fine, Daniel. Being a part of that mid-pack Larry's, you would say it's almost a little more nerve-wracking to get a win because you're dealing with all those Going Pro drivers that are, you know, maybe in the back of the field. They're not having the best of days, but you've also got all the top AM guys that are coming for your spot. So how's it feel when you're out there at a tight track, technical track like Laguna Seca?
Completely oblivious, to be honest. I had no idea who was pro, who was am. I didn't even realize I'd got a win until I checked in just to see the results. I'm like, oh, would you look at that? And then the second time around, it was definitely good. But I think my race start in the first race, I just managed to sneak it up on the inside, did a bit of hard charging through there, and I think that set me up for the rest of the night.
Yeah, well, I mean, you had a fantastic run. You were looking really good in that black and yellow Mazda. Now, I asked this, or I said it, I guess I should say, to Joshua Soto, and I'll ask/say the same thing to you. I feel like Laguna Seca is a little bit of a great value, or maybe an American version of where you guys are racing next week, which is Bathurst. So does a race here on an elevation-based, tight and technical track like Laguna Seca, does it help for Bathurst, and do you feel confident going into it next week?
I can promise you I won't drive Bathurst next week. That is a guarantee. Certainly it's not on the Princess approved track list, which Mr. Campbell will be oh so familiar of. But certainly I see what you mean about the elevation change. Myself, Laguna, a lot more forgiving, and I think because of that, it's a lot more approachable as a track. Bathurst, it's almost like the ring. You get some people who have it almost as like a niche and they perfect it, and I'm definitely not one of them.
Yeah, I must say I am not one of those either. So we'll let you get out of here and celebrate. But before we do, is there anybody you would like to thank or shout out for the performance here tonight?
I'd dedicate the 2 wins to Rob. More than a goatee, Campbell. Certainly his beard has been in some serious development, ladies and gentlemen. Certainly it is a multi-talented facet of hair hanging from his chin. Indeed, we should all celebrate and applaud that.
One day Zippy will hit puberty and he'll be able to grow his own beard, so he'll be good.
Good times, good times.
That's funny. That's funny. Well, we appreciate the jokes, we appreciate the racing, and we appreciate you, Daniel, for hopping up here. We'll let you get out of here, Daniel, but you did a fantastic job, part of that mid-pack Larry's division, and we'll see you next time. Like you said, I don't know if you're racing Bathurst, but hopefully next time you do race, you'll be back up here in the booth.
Yeah, I'll be just as surprised as you guys are.
And now I believe we've got one more driver. Rob, if you want, you can take Mr. Brian Lemke here.
Yeah, welcome into the booth, Lemke. We unfortunately didn't see a whole lot of you here this evening. You kind of stayed out of a lot of the trouble, but you're able to bring it home with solid finishes here tonight. Was it just to kind of stay out of trouble here at Laguna Seca? We saw both the heat and the feature race. There was a whole lot of elbows out racing from the start to the finish.
Yeah, the first race was really clean. I had a good start, kind of got up front and just kind of hung out up there. Soto was just so fast, just kind of following him around. Second race, not quite as good of a start, and then me and Jim got into a little bit, and a whole bunch of people went flying by us, and that made things really interesting because it was trying to get back up through cleanly, kind of hard to pass, not a lot of grip for sure, even though the temps weren't that bad. The track was just really slick, and but managed to once again, I got behind Soto and just kind of followed him up through traffic. Was hoping to get Michael there at the end, but he had a great run too, so he got second there at the end. But again, a P2 and a P3, it's great for points, and that's the only way I'm going to beat Jim, is just keep good finishes. I don't. Soto might even be in the mix at this point. Who knows? But it's going to come right down to the end for sure.
Yeah, we've seen the last couple of weeks haven't been the greatest races for Jim Felice, so his point league going to take a little bit of a hit, but we're going to have 2 more weeks left after this one, Bathurst and Road America. What are you feeling about your chances about putting in some podium finishes into the next 4 races we got left? Well, four heat races we got left, but 2 rounds.
Yeah, that's just going to be the key, just trying to stay up front, stay out of trouble, and every point right now is going to be really important. I got a lot more X's tonight than I really hoped for. Looks like a lot of other people did too, which helps, but man, it would have been nice to get some bonus points. That didn't happen, but we'll see what these next few weeks bring. Did I hear there might be some rain at Bathurst? That could really shake things up. So we'll see what happens there.
I thought it never rained in Australia, but maybe that's just California where we were tonight. But before we let you go, Brian, any shout outs you want to give to the fans watching at home?
Yeah, all the same as always. Thank you guys for coming out. Happy I get to talk to you. I feel like I've been talking to you quite a few weeks here in a row, which is really nice. The beginning of the year was a little difficult, but we're getting there now at the end. And just everybody that makes it possible. All the guys that came out. A lot of cars out there tonight. Looked like a lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to going back and watching the broadcast and checking out what was going on. It sounds like it was spicy out there, so I can't wait.
Well, it'll be an entertaining 45, 50 minutes or so of watching if you enjoy watching carnage on track. So I hope you enjoy, but we'll let you go. Best of luck heading into the final 2 weeks of the season here, Brian. And we'll see if you're able to chase down Jim Felice or Joshua Soto up at the top of the mountain.
Yeah, we'll see what happens, boy. I'm excited to see how this shakes out, but appreciate all your work.
Take care.
Bye.
Well,
so there we go, Mac.
I was going to say, what an incredible night. I mean, it has just been so amped up. I mean, just the overtakes, the battles, it never fails to amaze me what these Mazda drivers can do here in the Apex. this Mazda Sunday series.
Yeah, it's entertaining, that's for sure, and I think a lot of that has to play into the 2 20-minute heats, where, as mentioned during the broadcast, it doesn't give you a whole lot of time to really sit back and wait for something to happen. You have to actually go out there and make it happen. Kind of like when you were younger and your parents told you, well, you know what, yeah, if you want to find a job, you need to go out there, get your face out there, you need to find that job. Kind of similar to heat racing in these Mazdas. You want to gain those positions, you get out there on track, try and force your way up, maybe show a little bumper, maybe you have to pull a little NASCAR move, a little bump and run to get around the car ahead of you, to open up a little opportunity to make a move. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out next week at the Mountain. You're going to be doing that one solo, as I'm going to be off, so I hope for a great, entertaining race for you. But I think if it's going to be anything like tonight, you are going to be off your feet with a ton of excitement, a ton of fun racing.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to keep up with. That's going to do it here for us tonight. Production and commentary goes to the great boss man, Rob Campbell. Round of applause there to him. My name, Mac Nelson, in the booth. Once again, big shout out to Track Cams for Gourmets. That's trackcams22.com. They provide all the car and track cameras you see here on the broadcast tonight and across all of the Racer Nexus network. Also, big shout out to Apex Sim Racing. They are your one-stop shop for all the sim racing accessories you could use, whether it be a steering wheel, a wheel base, pedals, monitors, chassis. It does not matter. Go to apexsimracing.com, use code RacerNexus for 5% off all your purchases. It was a nice 68-degree day here at Laguna Seca. It was a fantastic Apex this Mazda Sunday. If you would like your league broadcasted, please visit the link down below. You can get hooked up with Rob Campbell here. Get yourself sorted, get yourself squared away, and who knows, you might even have my voice, Rob's voice, maybe Zenny's voice, who raced here tonight. You might have his voice. It does not matter. It's going to be peak. It's going to be nice and cinematic for you, whatever you decide to do. So from Mac Nelson, Rob Campbell, and all of us here at Racer Nexus, take care of yourself, guys. Take care of each other. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you in the next one.